I got the need for speed. And also, by the way, a brand new episode of what you're watching right now, which is Who This Been Watching, brought to you live every Friday, 10 p.m. by me, Who This, or more specifically on here on Instagram, at Who This Is One. This is my page. This is my platform. This is the launching pad, literally, for when you fly off into the heavens and you come back down and say, oh, wait a second, fuck, I forgot there's a brand new episode. I forgot to cue it up and throw on the playlist. Here I am for your viewing pleasure. Who This Been Watching? Tonight's episode, as you can see, additional props were fixed and maneuvered into the budget for the sake of the props, besides the ears, which we incorporate now as part of the scoring system here. We had to get the shades going. There's still me underneath, just in case. For the sake of tonight's flick, tonight's selection, Top Fucking Gun, brought to you by and starring, of course, Tom Cruise from back in 1986, doing his thing in the fucking skies and all that shit too. There's a lot to talk about with this one, as far as what you choose to believe, as far as the whole purpose of the film being so cool, and according to some, I'd say, according to some, a classic or undeniable, undisputable as far as being like a good ass flick. It's debatable. Let's talk about it though. We'll be diving much further into, of course, Top Gun itself from 1986. Shout outs to the real _ Super Nitro for joining the live, as well as All I Do Is Bitch. Oh, excuse me. I mean, All I Do Is Mix as well. Fresh off his trip on the West Coast of all things. So yeah, we're doing our thing here tonight. Again, this is Who This Been Watching, live Fridays, 10 p.m. Every Friday live, 10 p.m. here on at Who This Is One. A couple of days later or the week after, it'll be up and stuck in the clouds, aka YouTube, at youtube.com/who this is one. Sorry, even once in a while I gotta goof that up, but it's all right. And also, don't forget the audio versions of this one, just like every other episode up until now, is available currently as we speak on any podcasting platform of your choice, be it SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, BlackBerry, Google, wherever the fuck they got a podcasting platform of any sort of shape and form. I'm up in that bitch. And I'm coming out every so often, just like a newborn in the fucking ICU with an episode. Every fucking week I'm trying to do that shit. And I'm trying to deliver on the goods in that realm. That's Who This Been Watching. This is Who This Been Watching, the brand new version right now. Tonight's version, the uncut, unedited, and uncircumcised. Oh my God. The uncut, unedited, uncircumcised version of the program. It gets a little tidied up, cleaned up a little bit when it gets, mixed around on fucking YouTube, mixed around and fucking, on a podcasting platform of your choice. But tonight, again, listen, for the sake of, and for the fact that we're trying to keep the mood, we're trying to, channel the vibes, we're trying to bring it on home. Just imagine right now I had the traffic cones in my hand. Just imagine right now if you could. Let's just play scenario right here. Pretend scenario. We're on a fucking carrier ship out in the middle of the ocean right now. We're fucking bringing the boys on home. We're telling them it's all good and clear to land their fucking ass on the ship with the little cones in the hand and shit, just doing the dives and the magician fucking, what's his name from the Marvel Universe, Doctor Strange hand movements and action going on too. Bringing the boys on home. Hey, you did a good job up there in the air. He got it up and stuck. No more enemies. You blew them out the sky. Fuck the commies and all the motherfuckers out there too. Come on home and take your ass and go get a cup of coffee or something. You did a good job there, Ace, or whatever you'd like to call him. Shout out to Party Marty 35 as well for joining the live. We're talking about Top Gun. So yeah, that's starring Tom Cruise from way back when in 1986. Now 1986 was a good year for many other reasons besides, I'm sure, motherfucking Top Gun. But the fact that I'm older, me, as you can see, you can see it in my forehead, you can see it, well, I don't have crow's feet yet, thank God, but anywhere else, the bags under my eyes. You can see that I am older. I am 1 year the OG to the film Top Gun we're going to be talking about tonight. Again, starring Tom Cruise. There's some Val Kilmer action in there. There's oh God, I don't know anybody else's name in this bitch, honestly. Yeah, I forget everyone else's name, to be honest, in this shit, because listen, You expect me to remember, let alone in real life, real people's names? Good fucking luck with that. Just ask Super Nitro. I've dealt with him for so long as a friend, as a bro and everything too, and there's still at least a couple of times up until recently that I've had to ask him his legit actual birth name because I don't fucking know what to call him besides Super Nitro. And that's not because I disrespect him or I don't see him as an equal. It's just this thing right here, my memory, my brain that I'm pointing at right now is so shitty in regards to names. I can remember a lot of useless shit, funny enough, but when it comes to names, something that can benefit me from actually remembering and holding on to in my memory banks, good luck with that shit, pal. But that's me, and that's my fucking dilemma with my memory. Aside from that, though, too, it's hard to forget, of course, how much people loved from that age, or if they stumbled upon it later on in life. I'm sure because I was a year old, when Top Gun came out. So what the fuck am I going to tell you if you ask me to review it back when I'm like 1 year old, shitting my diaper, missing the airplane that my mom used to try to feed me with the spoon and the baby food and all that shit, having most of the baby bottle food on my face and just a little tiny little morsel of it in my mouth. What am I going to tell you at 1 year old? Like Google Gaga, boo 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 boo, whatever, shitty diapers? What am I going to do? Instead of the fucking 1 year, 2 year system, I'm going to give it like a quarter shitty, half full shitty diaper, whatever, to review it? Maybe that's what I could have done back when. But fast forward now, 35 years later since its release, I'm here now as a grown-ass man with my own budget to, splurge on my props as much as I need to, as well as the additional shades for this episode too, just again to channel the spirit, the energy of Top Gun. I'm here for that. Reporting for duty. Lieutenant Dummy. I mean, who this is, of course. Here ready for the Top Gun review, of course. So yeah, from 1986, starring Tom Cruise. Most importantly and primarily, there's some Val Kilmer action, like I mentioned before. I swear to God, I forget who else the fuck is in this film. Meg Ryan. Excuse me. Let's put some respect on her. Her legacy. A young chef's kiss, Meg Ryan, is in this one. I mean, not enough, justifiably so, but at least she got co-starring credits at the very beginning of the film. Or was it? At the beginning of the film. She gets like co-starring credits, her and two other names, but I was like surprised because it's 86. I guess that's around the time when she was like doing the thing and like busy being famous, I guess you could say. But yeah, that's a young ass Meg Ryan. Fucking, it was so rare to see Meg Ryan with like long-ish hair or like at least up to the shoulder length hair. But I was always more of a fan of, not to say she's not pretty enough to pull off the short hair, but I've always loved to see the rare unicorn in its own nature that was long hair Meg Ryan. But short hair Meg Ryan, I fuck with that. I appreciate it and I respect it fully because that's a good looking ass woman from way back when. And also the fact that, she can still pull off the pixie cut and like the, like the charcuterie, not the charcuterie, that's a charcuterie, that's meat. I mean the bonsai tree bush kind of really short hair she had going on for a while too. I respect it. She's got a pretty enough face to pull it off. But yeah, that's Meg Ryan talk, a young Meg Ryan talk. So that's again, chef's kiss, can't complain about that in any sorts whatsoever. But speaking of, before we go full in depth on Top Gun tonight, funny enough that I bring up Meg Ryan because in that lane, up, I'd say maybe a tier higher, if you ask me, of course. I mean, you watch me, of course, so of course you're proverbially asking me. If you ask me, I would put just a step above, maybe a tier above, at that age range per se, a Sandra Bullock, which is funny enough, of all people to agree with me on that, as far as like being infatuated with a young, even older, not so much young, Sandra Bullock, is Lupe Fiasco. One of my favorite rappers of all time, and half of one of my favorite podcasts out there right now, the Lupe and Royce Show. Lupe Fiasco and Royce the 5'9" doing their thing. Lupe just admitted on this last episode, I forget what it was called, but he just admitted to it randomly. I think he just brought up like, oh, we'd love to get some actors to like act out stuff on the podcast with, because that's a little gimmick now. They'd write out little mini scripts of like pretend movies and shit. He he was just naming off people like Will Smith, whatever, too. And then he stopped and sang the praises of a young Sandra Bullock for like at least a good 2-3 minutes, which surprised me because Lupe always seemed so composed and not the type to be talking about like women or pussy in general too, you know, because he's all like, yeah, peace, my sister, I love y'all, I respect you, queen, whatever, black, white, yellow, Puerto Rican, whatever your color is and all that. But for him to stop and sing the praises of a young Sandra Bullock, I was like, that's my man right there. That's why I fuck with Lupe Fiasco. And he was like, you know, a young Sandra Bullock from Speed or whatever else she was doing back when. Man, I love that one. That was a good-looking ass white woman. And of course, he had to emphasize a good-looking ass white woman because if we just leave it as a pretty ass woman, then, you know, the sisters listening to him might be like, oh, so that means all white women are pretty like that? Or it's just all the white girls that are pretty, that they're the only ones that matter? No. Every woman of every creed, color, race, whatever temperament, because you know every woman has a temper, they're all pretty in their own way, in their own sense. But the fact that Lupe Fiasco knew what's real and what's really good as far as a young Sandra Bullock's concerned and singing her praises, my mind was briefly blown, but it made a lot of sense because I used to have, funny enough, a crush on Sandra Bullock for the longest time, from like the Speed days, even though I was like 10, and even later on, like all the other shit she did, like the Net, or even not too far off, what was that last one she did that was actually funny with that fat comedian? Well, not so fat now anymore, but what's her name? Melissa McCarthy. The Heat. That was actually a pretty good movie. Shout out to Franny P. 1/4. Yeah, 1/4 of fucking Brendan and the boys. Brendan and the Brendanettes. Or, you know, Brendan. You know, him. Shout outs to him. Shout outs to the Payne, of course, Frankie Payne. Shout outs to Dr. Mikey, the drummer, MD, PhD, and all that. And also, of course, the main man himself, Brendan. Shout outs to Yasin_BTLB for joining the live as well, too. I appreciate you guys coming through. And thanks for watching. Who has been watching? Tonight's edition is solely focusing on Top Gun from 1986. We're just busy doing some Meg Ryan talk, doing some Sandra Bullock talk, some pretty ass, young ass, pretty ass white woman talk from way back when in the 80s when they were running things. And then Sandra Bullock was doing the thing in the 90s, and like I was saying, in the Heat from like, I think 2013 or something. She looked pretty good there. I mean, obviously she had work done. This is after that little kind of spurt, kind of resurgence run she had with like, what was it, Miss Congeniality, and some other things too in the mix as well too. Like that brief little run she had of like, oh, like fresh face, fresh Botox, whatever. Just like, what's her name had? Well, not in the acting realm, but more like Cher. When Cher came back with whatever that big ass hit was, she had like 99, 2000, all that shit too. Fresh face, stiff as fuck, freshly pressed, whatever too, but that only lasts so long before they have to go back and get it touched up again and again, mind you. Which again, no criticism towards the ladies that do that, you know, leading actresses and or whoever else might be doing that as well too. But, you know, let's take it easy a little bit too. There is such a thing as aging gracefully. You can do that. It's not like no one's holding a gun to your head and saying, hey, bitch, you better touch up that forehead. You better lift them cheeks up, north and south, of course. You better do whatever you got to. Gravity's defying your tits right now, so, you know, you got to get them up and stuck. A little perky wouldn't help, wouldn't be too bad for you, etc., etc. Just, you know, take it easy, bring it on home, and just realize you're a woman. You tie a man down, you marry their ass, you're going to be the boss 9 times out of 10 anyway, so who's really in charge at the end of the day, right? I'm just saying, I'm alluding to it, and yeah, eventually I'll be married too, so I'll know that misery and woe as well. I'm just kidding. But of course now, we bring it back home to now the main focus of tonight, which is Top Gun, again from 1986, starring Tom Cruise. You got a young Val Kilmer who later on in life, I don't know what the fuck happened to his face. He looks like a fat sack of lumpy potatoes, which is not saying a nice thing about him because of what kind of face we're exposed to in this film. But like I'm saying, fast forward to whatever he's done since then, it's like him and Steven Seagal have been separated at birth because they're both fat in the face, you know, squinty little close to no eyes, having ass faces, and you wouldn't even believe what they looked like when they were younger because of you're two being hung up on what they look like now as they're older and much more round in the face. But all that aside, yeah, let's touch on Top Gun. Pause, by the way. So yeah, the good thing about Top Gun, I mean, you know, if you want to really recap it first off, foremost, it's like, all right, some guys that are in the Navy, what are they called? Naval aviators. They're flying the jets around as part of Navy shit they got going on, Navy activity. Shout out to the Navy and all the armed forces people out there too. No disrespect. I'm just saying, like, I know so little about the branches and what you guys do. I'm just trying to put it all together as like best I can right now to pay as much respect, but also tell the tale properly of the movie synopsis. So these two guys, right? It's Maverick, that's Tom Cruise, and Goose, which is, I don't know his fucking name. They're doing their thing, pilot, co-pilot, helping each other out, wingmen, as they probably prefer to be referred to as. They're doing their thing. They're out there. Maverick's a fucking loose cannon. He's the lone wolf. He's the guy that, like, you know, he's supposed to be a team player, but he breaks away as best he can, as much as he can, just to do his own thing, because he knows, like, just by senses and feeling, the vibes and all that, what to do and how to break away properly and still, like, save the day and be the best one out of all of them. He's so good that the number one guy, because of one mission where he got, like, what's the word? He got, like, shocked. He got, like, PTSD, whatever. He just gave up. He said, he took his little badge and said, I give my wings in to you, Captain or Commander, whatever he said. I'm done. I got to go home and see my kid that's been born, and I haven't even seen him yet, so I got to go see him and be alive for his ass. So automatically Maverick and his boy go immediately up to 1 and 2. Captain says, all right, you two fucks, I hate you. I hate how you do things, how you approach things, whatever, but still, I'm going to send you off to this fucking program called Top Gun out there to see who's the best of the fucking best out of all you fucking sea pilots, per se. But, okay, so they get sent out there. They're the best of the best in their group, but then they, bump chests and cross paths with the best of the best from just about everywhere else that's making up this whole Top Gun program in its whole. So they're down there doing their thing, getting trained and all that too. He finds love with this girl who's really like mid, who's like meh at most, but he's like making the whole thing about, oh, I'm gonna flirt with her, I'm gonna fucking convince her to go to the bathroom with me and, get a quick one in with her. She turns out to be his instructor in the Top Gun school. They recognize each other, of course, and it's like awkward. He explains about one time he flew the plane upside down. She don't believe him, but again, of course, she uses that as her fucking foot in the door to try to get to know him better and try to enjoy his company, aka his dick, later on in the film. So he's getting good and fucking up and stuck with the professor. Well, there's a build up to it eventually. We'll touch on that later on too, which is kind of stupid because of how she acts. She acts up so much like she had the dick already and it's been like life changing, fantastic and all that. She acts that way before she even gets a hint or a sniff of his cock. But okay, go figure that. It's a young Tom Cruise, I guess. So maybe for the women out there, chef's kiss for them, I guess, in regards to a young Tom Cruise. Post jacked up, horrible looking teeth. So okay, back to the fucking synopsis. What is it? They're in the Top Gun program. There's the Iceman over Val Kilmer, who's like his direct nemesis because he's like the best of the best. He's got like an immaculate record. He's like Iceman because he's as cool as ice when it comes to any situation. He knows exactly what to do, how to act, and etc., etc. So immediately he don't like Maverick because he's like, you're reckless, you're dangerous, you're a lone wolf, and you're gonna get people killed acting the way you act, bro. It's 1986, so no one was calling each other bro. Maybe they were doing the brother thing, or they were like Nation of Islam. But had it been done nowadays, they would have definitely thrown in a bro at the end of every other fucking sentence, because they're practically like frat boys, just like in the fucking Navy, armed forces, whatever, that kind of vibes. Especially like all the talking with shirts off and only towels around their fucking waists in the locker rooms of all things. And they're always sweaty, like always like shirtless, whatnot too. So it's kind of pause all around too. We'll get to all those vibes too as well later on. But at some point, it's neck and neck between Iceman and Maverick. They're trying to like outdo each other. Who's the real Top Gun, or who's the candidate to most likely get the Top Gun prize and trophy at the end, whatever. somewhere along the way, like, Maverick loses his cool. He fucks up one, pretend training mission. He gets called out by the commander, like, listen, you're a fucking great pilot, but god damn it, you're reckless out there, you stupid idiot. You got a whole team backing you up and you're still doing this solo dolo shit. You got to start thinking with your head instead of your fucking dick or your ass. Since you're in the cockpit all day up in the sky, I can tell maybe it's your dick mostly, but get it out your ass while you're at it too. And et cetera and so on. So he gets dogged out. And then one mission too, like they freak out. There's like a freak accident. Him and his boy are in the same plane, a Goose. They have to hit the ejection seat. And in doing so, of course, Tom Cruise, he's the star of the film, Maverick, he makes it out clean, out of there, ejector seat, all that. But his boy Goose in the back, as he's being projected out of the plane, or ejected out of the plane, excuse me, he hits his head clean on the top of the fucking, like, I guess you could say sunroof of the plane, whatever. Full head-on collision. He's, like, broken in half. As soon as he hits, he's dead. And it's literally a floating dead body all the way down to the ocean. He's all fucking broken up about it. Maverick, he's like, oh my, in his head, of course. He doesn't speak out loud. He does the white boy thing where they just get all morbid and quiet and like to themselves. And no one can understand them. They're the lone wolves. They have to suffer alone because no one can comprehend or feel the vibes. And he's all like gloomy and shit too. Can't get over the fact that, his boy died practically on his watch. But it wasn't his fault. They were going to like die otherwise if they didn't eject out of the plane. But unfortunately, Goose was in the back, so he cracked his whole fucking skull open while being ejected, full force, full steam ahead into the fucking sunroof of the plane. So he's been dead. It's not his fault anymore. But he holds on to the guilt. The court marshals say, no, it's not your fault. You did everything you could. You did the right thing. You got out of there alive. That's more important. Get your ass back in the plane up and flying, goddammit. He can't do it. He does a couple of missions. He's like, getting cold feet. He's pulling out. He's like, I don't got a shot. I can't do it, whatever. So he's thinking about retiring, but then finally one of his fucking old commanders tells him about his old man, his father, who was also a pilot, who up until this time, everybody ruled him out as like, oh, he's a degenerate. He fucking got killed in action. He was a dickhead. He was an asshole. He was worried about himself. But no, this guy's validating like, no, I flew with your pops. And what happened was your pops died in action being a hero. So you can be a hero too if you stop being a cuck. Pick up your balls, Sally, and get your fucking ass back out to the school and do your thing and finish. God damn it. Which he does. He goes back. At least he makes it to the graduation where he's obviously not the top gun. It's fucking Iceman. He's the one that wins the fucking trophy, the fucking top honors of being top gun per se. But then again, you wonder, hey, wait a second. Everybody's welcoming Maverick back with open arms and be like, hey, thank God you're back and shit. And everybody's patting him on the shoulders and like, oh, this, oh, that. Commander comes in, all right, fuck faces. You graduated, that's great. Toss your hats. But in the middle of your fucking hats floating in the air, get your ass in your fucking cockpits and fly out. Because we got a mission. We got legit mission. We got legit action going on there in the Indian Ocean now. Haul ass. And on top of that, Maverick is immediately tapped to get into action. So it's Iceman, it's all the other ones, 2 or 3 of them, and fucking Maverick. Immediately. They go out, they haul ass. Next thing you know, to close out the movie, the end shit is a fucking air fight. It's like 3 against 5, and then at some point it's like 1 against 5 because it's Iceman all out there solo dolo. Maverick's supposed to be his wingman, his backup. He gets cold feet. He gets blue balls. He's like, he can't shoot. He's trying to pull out and eventually escape because he's too scared. He keeps looking at the dog tags that he got from Goose off his dead body. He's like, come on, tell me, Goose. Talk to me, Goose. Talk to me, Goose, whatever. Finally, he snaps out of it because he's hearing that Iceman is practically a sitting duck, all alone, getting surrounded and getting fucking bukkakied in the air practically by 5 other planes. So then he comes back, saves his ass, he saved the day. They make friends, they make amends. So unofficially, Maverick / Tom Cruise is the unofficial top gun because everybody wanted him to be the top guy, and everybody respected and admired his fucking flying taxes and all that shit too, but he was just reckless. He was just dangerous to himself and to others. So that's why they had to give the fucking trophy to the stiff, the narrow guy, fucking Iceman. But we all know deep down inside, the real Top Gun is motherfucking Tom Cruise. As he is, they tell him, hey, You can pick any fucking mission you want, go anywhere in the world you want to. What do you want to do? Is like, you know what? I'm going to be a motherfucking instructor. I'm going to teach these motherfuckers how to be wild and reckless like I am in the motherfucking air. So that's how the movie ends, pretty much. There's a lot to talk about in regards to Top Gun. Now, a lot of notes, obviously, I made too, for the sake of. So, oh, excuse me, it's a little late. Forgive me for that as I record. So, yeah, as far as Top Gun's concerned, I always heard the best things about this film, but then again, those always came from guys. It's never like I found a middle-aged woman who randomly brought up Top Gun and said, oh, gee, Sonny, that shit is so fucking lit. Or nothing, no. Or at least maybe she didn't love the movie. Maybe she just found Tom Cruise cute. A young Tom Cruise, a 1986 Tom Cruise. So maybe that's her, that's what led her into even watching or sitting down with Top Gun at some point in her life. But yeah, okay, I'm sure maybe a young Tom Cruise, post crooked ass teeth, got some pussies dripping wet, so why not? I mean, I'm not putting it past anybody. I'm not going to judge either if that's, your cup of tea per se, that whatever he is, whatever you wanted to find him as, but okay. So, the thing I like about the movie right away, I always appreciate, I don't know who else does out there too like me, I always appreciate when a movie gets right into action, springs right into fucking action without fucking too much build up, too much talking, or too much, or I hate like when they do the Batman thing. I hate when they've done Batman so many times over, they always have to kind of recap or retell the story, his beginnings and all that shit. It kind of makes sense when Batman begins, because that's literally the whole point of the movie. Batman as he begins to become Batman. So from Bruce Wayne, little boy, parents are dead, shot in the street, his training, and his comeuppance as he eventually becomes and begins to be the Batman. I get that. But then every other fucking movie, okay, except the Dark Knight trilogy, obviously. Every other fucking embodiment of Batman has to retell the fucking story, has to re-show his mom being no, was it the first one? No, she's always the second one getting shot. It's always, what's his dad's name again? Whatever Batman's dad's name was, he's always the first one getting shot. And then Mom, Martha Wayne, is always the one with that gets the yoink action on the pearl necklace with the gun and shot. I forget the order, but she's always getting that. They always emphasize the pearl necklace just shooting out pearl by pearl whenever she gets fucking bodied. But yeah, I like that it starts off here with Top Gun as far as like barely, maybe like 2-3 minutes in or something like that. Boom, right into the fucking song we all know it for, Danger Zone. Yes, there is a debate that Take My Breath Away was the song that's immediately pinned and remember finally for Top Gun, or from Top Gun. It won awards and shit too, I get it, but Danger Zone really is the fucking theme song of the whole fucking movie. It sets the whole vibes and moods, to the point where they use it about 2 or 3 times in the film. They sneak it in there, and it really does emphasize and captures the energy of the fucking film itself, which makes sense. So of course they start off strong with that shit. I like the fact that the editing for not just this intro, with the planes landing, it's with the sun setting in the background on the naval ship, taking off, coming in action, looping and flying around, all that. I love that they stuck the guy on the fucking base, the guys that like kind of signaled him in and all that shit too, which I think it became a meme or something at some point. But the guy that does like the little so excited that he fucking brought them in, they're all coming in safe and shit. He's all excited. So the editing, the sequencing, and the fucking music, as I said, Danger Zone, starting off with that shit, really sets the vibes and gets you pumped and ready for the rest of the fucking film. And they make it clear from Jump Street, expect a lot of this shit going on for the majority of the film. Thank God. It's not like fucking leading you one way just to steer you a whole nother as the movie progresses. So they're clear in their fucking attempt to entertain you throughout. And considering from 1986, this shit was only, a $15 million budget, surprisingly. Considering all the plane action, the fact they had to get the cameras on the fucking plane somehow, some way, and do it however they did it, it's admirable for a $15 million budget. But then again, inflation from back in 1986, if you do it nowadays, it might convert to like 30-ish million, which isn't a lot considering, well, I don't know. that's a question I got too. If for the fact that they had to use legit planes, naval bases, not naval, the whatever the fuck, the nautical ships, whatever the fuck you call them, the airports. You know what I mean? The fucking the big ass ships in the middle of the oceans that hold the fucking planes, the carrier ships. I mean, if they have to like get paid anything, or if they charge a fee, or if that's on the budget, or for the sake of, oh, we're gonna show you the script in advance, the story of what we're doing here, and we're not gonna like paint the Navy to be like assholes or like war hungry fucking dogs and nothing like that. Oh yeah, go ahead then, show all the film you want, record all you want, boom boom boom, da da da. You have our blessing, pretty much. I wonder how that works out. So maybe that explains like a not so large budget as I would have expected otherwise, because this opener in the middle of the film, throughout and shit too, the footage of the fucking planes in action, which I think are the real stars of the fucking movie, it's beautiful. Honestly, it's really fucking tantalizing. It's really sexy. But then it also alludes to the fact that I believe they deemed this one, Top Gun, just like a lot of other war films and shit, to be like that, to kind of be romanticizing the idea of the military or armed forces, in this case the Navy, of course, because they make it look all sexy with like the fun parts. So, you know, you get to fly these fast ass jets and planes, save lives. You could be Top Gun too, pretty much. You could be Tom Cruise and all that, getting all the pussy thrown your way as soon as you hit the fucking local bar in town, and have fun just, you know, playing with the boys, beach volleyball later on, shirtless, of course, that's a requirement. But it really does make you think, like, I think this might have been deemed or close enough to like military propaganda. And I don't want to say that in a demeaning way. Again, no disrespect to anyone in the armed forces, especially the Navy, or anybody who was in legit the real Top Gun shit. But you can't help but think the way everything's set up so pretty. Again, when it comes to the planes in action, when it comes to the planes taking off, when it comes to just the editing and how beautifully and massively it's done throughout, it does make your head scratch a little bit, like, they're really trying to sell a point here, which I'm sure, and I think I might have read a while ago too, when I was just like researching randomly, whatever, I think there might have been a spike in enrollment for the Navy based off the strength of Top Gun, because that leads you to think, hey, isn't this kind of like, well, Rocky, let's say the Rocky series starring, you know, Sylvester Stallone, character Rocky Balboa and such. Rocky did that unconsciously for boxing, revitalized it, made it sexy to, like, again, I guess mostly you can say the Italians from back when, because they came out all pumped up and cocky and ready to fight after watching Rocky. But it did make boxing alluring. It made boxing enchanting to those because of the underdog story, how well it was told, how beautifully it was acted, etc., etc. I think it's in the same realm in that category as Top Gun, except for the only obvious factor that Rocky did it unconsciously. I wouldn't be surprised if we find out eventually, or it's been told already and it's out there, that Top Gun had that underlying tone or intent throughout the whole film. It is very sexy looking. It's very appealing looking. There's no bad, there's no really wrong way to look at the military in this way too. They're just going about their lives. They're carrying out their missions. They make it look all fun and shit too. But then at what cost? I mean, then again, they are real enough to show, obviously it's a movie, so it's a story loosely based off of whatever the fuck actually happened in, you know, regards to Top Gun and shit. They do have the very first guy, the number one above Maverick, Cougar, the very first guy who got shook in a fucking training mission and said, I want out, I can't do this no more, fucking leave. And then you got, okay, something that could really happen even in training, motherfucking Goose, a Maverick's boy, gets killed in a training mission. But of course, accidentally, no one's actually was out to kill him and nothing like that, but it does happen. Killed in action, I guess you can say. But yeah, that just makes you wonder, maybe it was, after all these years, underlying fucking secret hush-hush military propaganda. But who knows? We can put that aside or talk about that later on a little bit too. But then there's also a fun part as far as like the first mission they do, the training shit. At like about 8 minutes and 45 seconds in, I'm not here to judge how someone sounds as far as the vocals or the voice is concerned too, because I just so happen to come out sounding this way. And I have sounded this way for like the longest time, since like 11, 12 years old, whatever, or whenever puberty hit me and cracked my fucking voice in two and fucking developed me into the ogre I sound like now. But Tom Cruise, the whole time he's got his fucking mask on in the plane, getting all active and hot and sweaty too and shit, he's the only one that sounds like both a child and a fucking grandpa, because the tone of voice he has, like, yeah, I got him on my 6, I'm gonna take him out of the sky, fuck this asshole, whatever. And then at some point he says the most perfectly enunciated, I can't shoot this son of a bitch. Like, he sounds like a Jewish grandfather saying it too. On top of that, with the mask on, he sounds like a baby, a child, perfectly enunciating his very first animate, passionate, I can't shoot this son of a bitch. It's just so stupid, because if I fucking wore a mask like that, or if I had to be a fucking fighter pilot and wear the shit, I'm probably gonna sound like Dane from The Dark Knight Rises. So I'm not really one to judge in that case, so I can't really put him down for that shit. But you know, also again, touching back on the Cougar shit, the first pilot, the first #1 ranked pilot that would have gone presumably to the Top Gun program had he not pulled out and said, I can't do this shit no more. It makes you wonder how many of those case scenarios actually happen in regards to something as cool as it seems to be a Top Gun pilot, or potentially a Top Gun pilot as he would have been had he remained. I wonder how many guys get shook even in like training missions from like going too fast or being up too high, or just getting so caught up in the moment of fucking like, oh shit, this could have really happened right now, even though I'm in training, but I'm caught in the moment right now, so suspenseful that like I wouldn't know how to react if this was for real going down. So maybe that kind of shit happens and it triggers something in their mind where like, well, if I get caught out there slipping like I did right now, I'm dead. Right now, for the sake of training mission and purposes, I'm only pretend dead and shit. So I'm no good, I'm useless. And then of course he does admit that he has a newborn child that he hasn't seen at all yet. So born while he's in the middle of the fucking air, looping and flying and dipping and diving all around too. So I wonder how much of that shit happens. Not even just so much specifically in the Navy, as naval aviators go through, but like the Army, the Marines, what's the other branch? The Air Force, all them too, how they get fucking shook and might want to pull out even in training, not even active duty or action or war, God forbid, but even in training, they can get shook like that too. So I always wondered that too at some point also, how often that can happen. And is there any, especially nowadays with like mental health and everything taking over, I wonder if there's counseling, training they got to go through, if they express openly that they feel that way to better address the situation. Because this guy, Cougar, at least, he just took his badge, flung it at him and said, I'm outies. I can't do this shit no more. And he was like, out. But I wonder how that's handled nowadays, if anything, too. So, talking again about the epic look and feel of how everything's presented to us, how it all looks visually stunning, by the way. At 16 minutes in, there's the very epic and I believe oftenly used when they show clips or highlights of Top Gun, is the scene where Tom Cruise is hauling ass on his fucking motorcycle in the desert. It's aligned to the side of him, so it captures him, the motorcycle, whizzing by, and then beautifully the fucking airbase he's traveling to with a fighter jet taking off in a perfect swooping upwards angle. And he's hooting and hollering like, yeah, whatever, America or some shit. Or it nowadays would have been like MAGA, whatever. But I'm just kidding, of course. But it's a beautiful shot, how it pans. It captures the fucking plane taking off in flight. It's beautifully done. So that's the first hint of, I guess you could say, maybe, subtly, you know, slip him a Mickey while he's not fucking looking, wink, wink, kind of like military propaganda action going on too, to make it all sexy and alluding. Because that kind of scene, that kind of imagery right there that I just built up for you, or you can see in the film yourself again at 16 minutes in, that stays with you. It's beautiful. It's fucking lovely. It's sexy to look at too. It's immediately appealing. Like, I saw it for the first time now, because this is the first time I see the movie in full. I've only seen bits and pieces or like random clips online, whatever, because of memes and shit, or the Need for Speed, whatever fucking part. this kind of shit too can really be especially like enchanting or tantalizing, I meant to say, to like someone who might consider the military in that time, at that age, when it was just in theaters. So imagine watching this shit on a big fucking screen when it just came out in 86. And you're seeing this shit, it's so cool. Maybe a girl or two is getting wet while they're watching with their boyfriends. The boyfriend's like, yeah, oh, that's so fucking awesome, oh my God, whatever. So you can't help but feel like, maybe that'd be the cool thing to do. Join the fucking Navy and be a naval aviator, etc., etc. But yeah, really fucking beautifully put together scene. It adds so much to the fucking appeal, the charm of the film itself, and the sexiness of how they try to sell that to you. There's that. Funny enough, there's also another one later on we'll touch upon once we get to it, but as I'm trying to go in order as best I can with the notes. There's his boy Goose, Maverick, his fucking number 2, which is Goose. Funny enough, they call him Goose because I don't know what a Maverick would look like if you told me to describe one, or, hey, this guy's named Maverick, but how does he look like a Maverick? I don't know what the fuck a Maverick is to begin with. I'm going to fucking tell you that first and foremost. But when you tell me, oh, that's his boy over there, Goose, and I take a good look at him for like at least a pause delayed 5 seconds, I'm going to look at him like, hey, you know what? Goose fits him. He does look like a fucking goose because he's got a long neck, like a long narrow head, a fucking beak for a nose almost. But he looks like a goose with a mustache because he has that porn stash, that like pedophile, I got to report to every house in the neighborhood, new neighbors, shit that I touch kids apparently type of mustache. It's not a good look on him, but then again, he's Goose, so maybe it suits him because he does look kind of like twerpy and derpy. Even though, in the movie at least, thank God not real life, well, no offense to either one, but at least in the movie, he's the one that bags Meg Ryan. Well, so much he bagged her, he knocked her up and they had a kid, so she might as well be like, well, you know what, he's got the military salary, so I might as well stay with him and just fucking stay happy that way best I can. So yeah, that's Goose. And then again, as I alluded to earlier as well, what the fuck happened to Val Kilmer? His motherfucking face. Here he is a hunk of a man. Pause. By the way, I'm just saying, what's true. And let's be honest, and dead ass, as the kids love saying, that's a good looking man in this fucking film too. I mean, Val Kilmer, come on, a young Val Kilmer too, before he became fucking Batman and all that other shit too as well. And then you fast forward to nowadays, modern day Val Kilmer. What the fuck happened to that man's face? Again, that's Val Kilmer talk. We can leave that for any other time we ever bring up Val Kilmer in his own film starring or where he plays a more significant part. But maybe we'll touch on Val Kilmer more, pause, later on as we go in this episode. At 30 minutes in, you got the, well, speaking of Val Kilmer, actually he's going to come up now because he's in my notes. So yeah, the desert run training mission scene they got going on with the planes all flying around and looping, like I said before. Just like I told you about him riding the motorcycle next to the fucking plane taking off in the background in the fucking airport or whatever, terminal, whatever the fuck they call it. Same thing here. Training mission in the desert, simple, short and sweet to the point, but the planes are swooping in and out. The fucking angles are crazy. You're in the cockpit literally because that's where the cameraman was, or the camera was. It's swooping and diving into action. You're all over the place and shit like that. Shit is rumbling, shit is shaking. It's like you got Tourette's and everything too. Shook and baby syndrome, whatever going on too the whole time. It's fucking great. It's appealing. But then when it's all said and done, after that cool ass scene, this reminded me so much of fucking, again, like I said, like beef, rivalry, I guess you could call it too, between Iceman and Maverick. Because again, they're in the locker room, of course. They're shirtless, of course. They got on nothing but towels, of course. Amongst another group of men in the same fucking attire, of course. They're fucking going at each other. Iceman's telling Maverick, listen, you're fucking dangerous. You're a recluse. You're an asshole. Someone's gonna die in your care, whatever, etc. too. And then he says some shit back to him too as well. And he does the most paused thing up until that point in the movie. Val Kilmer, Iceman, he does. He fucking just looks back at him, smiles like a really kind of pervy smile, and just goes, like bites him. I don't want to threaten a man with biting him. Only if in the need or caught up in the moment, literally, of being like, I'm about to lose my life because this guy got like a headlock on me and he won't let go in a real fight or whatever. yeah, in that case, I'm going to have to bite my way out of it too. But besides that, I never want to see a fucking man even pretend biting at me like I was a fucking apple. Like that either. So he does that very pause, questionable chomp at Maverick 2. Let's see. Fast forward now to what was it? This point. Yeah. So just like I was saying, actually, too, as I said right now, if Val Kilmer biting at you, threatening to bite you like you was a fucking apple, didn't turn you off enough to being around all these men in a locker room, sweaty, shirtless, and just towels, the next scene, 41 minutes in, we're going to talk about now, is the infamous fucking beach volleyball game, which honestly is done for no reason. It adds nothing to the film. It contributes absolutely nothing. It moves along at a very slow pace, a very slow, pause-worthy pace, because it's just the 4 or 5 guys, shirts off. The only thing they got on their upper body at all, if it counts, is like tape around their wrist, because, of course, they're playing volleyball. They got to be considerate of that shit. But they're playing on a nearby beach, shirtless, and, of course, the infamous, very questionable, and pause-heavy motherfucking Kenny Loggins hit, I guess, because it's associated with the movie. It's on the soundtrack. So, and that soundtrack, I think, did like 10 million albums sold or something like that. It's like one of the best, if not best-selling movie soundtracks of all time for Top Gun. Playing with the Boys is a shit playing in the background on top of 4 grown shirtless men throwing each other around in the fucking sand while, you know, chasing after one ball, of course, all in unity. But there's that shit going on. There's that song queued up in the background as well. And clever, very clever, you Kenny Loggins, to fucking slip that into the fucking movie like they did, or whoever fucking edited the film. Or slipping that shit in and having that shit being called Playing with the Boys, which you're not doing with boys, you're doing with men, but of course boys, because they're my boys or whatever too. I thought for the longest time this song was called Hangin' with the Boys, which isn't so much better, but at least it's not as pause-worthy as Playing with the Boys. And if you read the lyrics to the fucking song Playing with the Boys, you're going to start to question what the fuck was up with Kenny Loggins. Or was he that in love with Val Kilmer, young shirtless Val Kilmer, or that in love with a young shirtless fucking Tom Cruise? But then again, that does raise a question of fucking the video he did, Kenny Loggins, I mean, for Danger Zone. Because yes, they show awesome fucking fast clips, all full of action in the video of Top Gun too. But why the fuck is he laid down the bed in like a pirate blouse for the most of the video, just like getting angry in bed, like getting upset in bed? He's like, highway, and just kind of throws himself into the bed like he's throwing a tantrum about having to wake up too early or something like that. Or he was caught in the middle of a wet dream with fucking Val Kilmer and or Tom Cruise, or maybe both of them together in the same wet dream, like throwing each other around the sand, going after one ball, and you woke him up, or the alarm fucking woke him up, and it's like, highway, just all despaired and just like tossing and turning in bed in a pirate's blouse, by the way. But yeah, that's Kenny Loggins. That's Danger Zone video. It's a cool video, but it also is a very hilarious, unintentionally hilarious video because of that fucking, tossing and turning in bed action he's got going on with Kenny Loggins. I don't know. He might have just ran out of ideas for that shit, for that video at least. But okay, there's that shit. And the clever thing of the song is too, again, like I thought it was Hanging with the Boys for the longest time. It's actually Playing with the Boys, which doesn't make it a lot better, but I already explained why, so hopefully you get the point too. Goose, as I mentioned earlier, is the one that looks out with a young ass, fine ass, 1986 Meg Ryan, or whenever this shit was filmed, like 84, 85, whatever. But you know what I mean. It came out in 86. He looks out with her as his wife in the film. And like I mentioned earlier too, there's a whole thing with Lupe Fiasco being infatuated with a young Sandra Bullock like I was, and like I wouldn't blame anyone else for being as well too. There's that going on. We fast forward a little bit to 53 minutes in. The point I don't get is it kind of reminded me a lot of like Godzilla vs. King Kong, which if it was a lot more action based or everything encompassing the action of the two fighting and beating each other's ass, that would have made the film a lot better and also a lot shorter, because Godzilla vs. King Kong did not need to be 2 hours long. And we could have done at least away with half an hour of the human interaction, which added nothing, helped nothing move along. And again, like I said in that review, you can check that out on my channel as well too, Godzilla vs. King Kong, spoilers of course. Millie Bobby Brown adds motherfucking nothing to this film. And I know she's like loved and beloved from like Stranger Things or some other shit. I don't see it. She did fucking nothing in this film but fucking make the same stupid face like whenever something goes on or she figures something out. It's all the same fucking stupid blank ass face that she makes. So that's why I said instead of Millie Bobby Brown, which is actually a pretty cool name and probably the coolest thing about her, change that name to Millie Bland Ass Brown or something like that, because that name doesn't suit her, because she's nowhere near lit, she's nowhere near exciting or enticing on film at least. So demote that girl and give her a fucking blander name. But yeah, all jokes aside, at the expense of Millie Bobby Brown, you know, again, what I didn't understand is, first off, I forget her name, and I'm not doing it on purpose, I just got a bad memory like that. But whoever they got as the female lead for this shit, I hate to do this to any woman, but to be honest, she was like, she was like, meh, at most as far as attractive goes. Because for Tom Cruise or Maverick or whatever the fuck his name is in the film, to be like simping over her like he was eventually. I mean, he did play a little bit of hard to get with her too. Like, there's a funny part where she's chasing after him. He pretends not to hear her at all. As he proceeds to walk to his motorcycle, he gets on, and she's like, hey, I'm not done talking to you, whatever. He is able to hear her say that, but he just starts to rev his shit up like as loud as possible. It's like, wait, what? I can't hear you, or whatever, like playing hard to get, that little funny shit. I'll probably use that in real life if ever I get afforded the chance of having a motorcycle and a bitch chasing me for once. But yeah, all that aside, I think that could have been better casting done in that case for who she was, or maybe swap fucking roles. Meg Ryan would have made a lot more sense as far as Tom Cruise simping over her in this film as the lead female character, and have whoever, what was it, Charlie her name was, I think, have her play the Meg Ryan role as far as Goose's wife, because how Goose, who looks like a goose, gets a piece of ass wife like Meg Ryan, loud, sassy, pretty as fuck, and lively and bubbly, he gets stuck with her, stuck because they have a child, and I'm presuming, you know, they was like so caught up in fucking plane flying overhead and shit action that they just fucking did it on the beach or whatever, and then boom, 9 months later, oh shit, I guess, you know, we're gonna have to live off your fucking pilot money or whatever. And instead, Tom Cruise and Maverick gets fucking stuck chasing after fucking bland ass whatever her fucking name was too. And she's like his instructor. She can't reveal that she's fawning over him secretly, or even give credit to him being a reckless ass but smart ass pilot too. But then before she even gets a whiff, a scent, a fucking taste of his dick, he's already got her, chasing after him, blowing through red lights and fucking causing gridlock pileups and all this shit too, just to chase him down, being like, you need to let me finish my sentence, god damn it. And he's fucking talking down to her like, you stupid bitch, you fucking almost killed people driving reckless, and you calling me a bad pilot, whatever, or whatever. She's like, well, what do you want me to do? I'm fucking, my pussy's in the stir over you. I can't think anymore. I can't think straight. I can't teach my lessons because I'm looking at you and your cute but still kind of crooked ass teeth or whatever. They're endearing and whatever and all that shit too, and then they start kissing, and then finally they fuck. Because up until then it's like, how long are they gonna fucking court each other? How long is she gonna play him? How long is he gonna be playing stupid hard to get? Finally they fuck at least, so they get it out of the fucking system at least. Thank God for that, because again, I don't get how he and her make sense. But again, I'm not here to diminish the beauty of a woman or say she's ugly. I'm not saying that either, but I would think for the sake of the movie, swap roles. Meg Ryan could have been her, and she could have been the dull, who gives a fuck about him, that's Goose's wife anyway, that makes more sense for him to have, etc. But putting that aside. But because she reminded me more like, and funny enough, she's a professor, she was a teacher. She just reminded me of like that one maybe teacher on campus or in the building you have that like she's not really, or he's not really that good looking, but word gets around, they know how to suck a mean dick, or they know how to give a good pounding to the pussy and shit. So you kind of get curious, your, you know, ears start to perk up and like, let me find out what that's about right over there. See if it's worth any of my time being spent or invested. But yeah, that's all that stuff aside, you know, honestly, when I was younger, I wish I could have had that case scenario, the hot ass fucking teacher that even gave me a little hint, a sign of sorts that they were into me, or I could have gotten some. I would have been quick, fast, in a hurry, all up in that pussy, of course. But yeah, so we move on to like about an hour and a minute in. This is funny, actually. This is really funny because I also had to Google. I didn't remember so much from back when or growing up, but I had to Google it just to be able to confirm that Tom Cruise always had, or at some point up until a certain movie, had like really crooked ass, like bad teeth going on. And he did. You can just Google it. Tom Cruise's teeth. It's like a whole slew, a whole mess of articles you'll fucking be able to like deep dive into. But yeah, he had that going on. The funny thing is, as he pulls out a picture in his wallet in the movie of his dad and his dad carrying him on his shoulders, I gotta know. I gotta pin down somebody who worked on the movie and or who put together the storyboard or did anything, any sorts to contribute to this one part here. Because he pulls out the picture, it's a kid sitting on his dad's shoulders who does kind of look like Tom Cruise, or you're just gonna assume it's a young kid, a picture of a young kid sitting on his dad's shoulders in his wallet. It's gotta be him, duh. I gotta ask and gotta give credit to whoever fucking picked that picture and casted that kid, because they casted a kid who does kind of look like Tom Cruise from the nose up, but they got the teeth so fucking perfect. This kid's teeth are not just crooked, they're fucking bucking. They're fucking poking out of his teeth like he was Bugs Bunny, like he was fucking the groundhog. They keep fucking pulling out the ground that obviously doesn't like Mayor de Blasio here in New York for Groundhog's Day. He's got major fucking beaver action action going on in that picture, that kid. And I don't know, maybe he was in on the joke, or maybe imagine like the first time he would have pulled out the picture and like the prop wallet they gave him to use and shit. He sees it, he looks like, hey, who the fuck's a genius out here? Who's a fucking comedian who put these goddamn buck teeth on his kid and trying to make it pass off as me? You son of a bitch or whatever. Imagine, because we've all heard stories about Tom Cruise being a bit of a diva, an asshole, whatever too. So I don't know if someone tried to pull a fast one on him, or that might have been the rare instance of, let's say Tom Cruise is in on the joke. Oh, ha ha ha, let's make fun of it, whatever too. Or maybe they had to pay him more. I don't know, because at this point I don't think he was that big or famous where he had that, like that kind of pull. I don't think. I'd have to do my research. But I would just love to figure out what happened there. Who thought of that shit? Who slipped that in there and got away with it? Because if I'm Tom Cruise and I had any kind of pull and I had those teeth just redone to not look like that kid in the picture, I'd be fucking tight. I'd be fucking so upset at somebody. But let's see how they got away with that. Hopefully I'll be able to pin down somebody and ask who did that. Because nod to you and a wink for being that much of a genius. Sir or madam, of course, who knows. So, again, like I mentioned earlier in the fucking movie, there's plenty of sexiness alluding to the whole presentation of fucking Top Gun, being in the Navy, being a fucking pilot in the Navy and shit too. At an hour and 25 minutes in, you got another epic ass fucking setup scene of him with the sun setting in the background, again, looking at the fucking Clearport Airport, wherever they got the fucking planes going off from, in the desert, of course. But it's really beautiful because they picked the right time and day. They had to really cue it up perfectly, as far as they had to know what time the sun was setting, have everything ready, lighting, props, all that shit too. Camera set, boom. Mother Nature takes its course and takes it from there pretty much, because it's absolutely beautiful. The way the sun's setting, he's looking off at the fucking planes, everything presented. So, of course, like the first scene with the fucking motorcycle running along with the fucking plane, the desert training montage action, whatever going on too. Any point in time, the planes are front and center in the film, doing their thing and flipping and diving, twisting and turning and whatnot too. And shit like this really drives it home as far as like, okay, it's been pretty obvious up until now. You're really trying to sell the sexiness of being a fucking fighter pilot guy, dude, whatever. Avoiding and putting aside all the risk of actually being in the middle of war, God forbid, and or stuff where you're required to fucking fly in the middle of a dogfight and shit too. But it's another fucking beautiful scene. We can't deny that. Let's just appreciate it for the fact that it's part of cinema and big on the fucking screen. So then we fast forward to now towards the end, which is weird because I do appreciate these kind of stories that don't let the good guy necessarily win or be number one in a contest or be the main star like that. They have to settle with being number two of some sorts or being the runner-up, like he is in this case. Maverick doesn't get the Top Gun badge or honor. It goes to Iceman because, again, Maverick had that incident with fucking his boy Goose. He dies in the middle of action. He can't, find composure within himself to fucking fly again for like the next couple of missions. So he's a fuck up. He's like pulling out. He can't do nothing properly no more. Which of course leaves the fucking playing field wide open for Iceman to take over and fucking win the honor of Top Gun. But again, like I said earlier, when they welcome him back, after he's able to step foot back enough for the graduation to be a part of it too, everybody's welcoming and everybody's looking forward to motherfucking Maverick, the real Top Gun. And then when they fucking call their ass into action, all of them being like, okay, graduation's over, we got some real legit action. We need your asses, newly graduated, de-virginized, to go fly into the fucking air in the Indian Ocean and haul ass and save your bros out there, please, for America, goddammit. And they do it, but Maverick's the one that fucking saves the day. Out of the 5 guys they got to take out, the 5 fighter pilots they got to take out, he takes out 3 of them. Iceman does 1. I think the other 2 or 1 left retreat. So then mission's over. They fucking saved the day. But it was mostly thanks to Maverick. And of course, because of his action, because of what he did, he's the one, Maverick, that gets to choose at the end of the day what he wants to do. Whatever mission, wherever he wants to go, that's his privilege now. Because he's unofficially the Top Gun. But he chooses humbly, I guess, in honor of Goose and or because he came around afterwards and realized, you know what, it's not about me being an asshole, a lone wolf. I gotta be a team player. If not, people die at my expense and my cuntiness. He goes back to being an instructor. So that was pretty cool. He goes back to fucking go teach other guys how to be just like him or at least teach them to not be like them, preferably. But yeah. And to close out on the notes I made of the film, I laughed at first. I got kind of sad, but then I thought, you know what? Let me not be a libtard. Let me not be a cancel culture fucking cuck out here too either. But it is kind of funny, and then again, it's kind of, I don't know how you'll take this, but there is one black pilot amongst all of them in the fucking Top Gun program, which does his thing. He's temporarily Maverick's like co-pilot after the death of Goose, and he's pointing out like what he needs to do, along the mission to fucking pass and proceed or whatever. But Maverick's just basically telling him, fuck him, I'm like too traumatized, I can't do it properly. And he does call him out, the black guy. And then Maverick gets all up in his face about, I'll do what I want and when I'm good and goddamn ready, goddamn it, and all that shit too. The black pilot, of all things, take a wild guess, take a stab in the dark as far as guessing what his name is, out of all things. Again, keep in mind, you had Maverick, you had Goose, you had Iceman, you had Cougar, you had some other idiot named Cowboy, I think, whatever, too. Take a wild guess at what the black pilot's name was. You ready to take a guess? All right, boom. His fucking guess, and you probably got it wrong because you didn't guess right. Motherfucking, sundown, of all things. Because the sun goes down, and guess what happens when the sun goes down? It gets motherfucking dark, of all fucking things, for the black pilot. I mean, listen, if it was nowadays, Twitter immediately, like 1 hour, 2 hours into opening day of the film, cancel Top Gun. They called the black pilot sundown. It's racist, it's offensive. Who's thinking about his family and his children, whatever, too, etc., etc. It was good for the times, I guess, but Oddly enough and funny enough, what the fuck happened now to the screen? That happened. So yeah, I don't know. So now we're at the end. And now we got to give this thing a score with my fucking ears getting propped and ready for action. I don't know what the fuck happened to the screen. Forgive me a second. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Oh, we got a request for someone to join in. Yasin underscore BTLB sent a request. Okay, let's see if he's still in. You want to do your thing here, bro? Oh, declined. Okay, well, all right. Maybe he's too shy to do it. But that's all right. So, like I was saying, all right, we're at the very end of the fucking episode now concerning the film Top Gun from 1986. Now we got to give it a score. Now we got to give it a rating and overall, too. Let me leave that for after the fucking rating, though, of course. So, because it's been in high demand and because a lot of people have been fucking calling me out and chewing my ass out as far as like, you got the fucking ears, you got the props ready to fucking really showcase your emotions and put them on display like you should or like you said you would every time. Why ain't you incorporating more of the ears? And now, to make amends and ask for your forgiveness for not doing so more often in past episodes, the ears are now part of the official rating system here for who has been watching. So as far as Top Gun 1986 is concerned, starring Tom Cruise, starring Val Kilmer, starring a young-ass Meg Ryan, which really should have been the lead female role in this film. A young Meg Ryan instead of whoever the fuck they got. I can't remember her name, but she's like that horny professor on campus that you happen to hear about, might have some good pussy, that WAP or whatever, can suck a mean dick and all that too, but ain't that easy on the eyes. But you still want to find out firsthand, like, I wonder what that mouth do, professor, besides giving out or spitting out good lectures and shit. But that's all that aside. That's back in 1986. I don't know who the fuck was in charge of casting that shit too, but maybe that's another, again, I have to hunt down, there's two things I got to hunt down as far as who worked on Top Gun. One is who casted Meg Ryan in the wrong role as far as being Goose's wife, and two, who's the genius that put the prop picture of the kid with the buck teeth that was pretend Tom Cruise in that picture in his wallet. And did Tom Cruise get mad the first time he pulled out that picture? He was like, hey, who's the fucking genius who put the picture of the kid with the buck teeth? Is this supposed to be me? You fuck! I'll have your ass! Or whatever. Shout out to AO Production for joining the live as well, too. As far as Top Gun is concerned, I'm going to go ahead and maybe for the sake of nostalgia, maybe somebody out there is of age who loved Top Gun growing up, who was old enough to appreciate Top Gun when it came out, or watched it so many fucking times that according to them, him, her, it, whatever you identify as, is a classic, a masterpiece. I hate to debate you. I hate to let you down. Not so much, hopefully, but I will be honest in this case. As far as what I got to give Top Gun, you asking me, of course you're asking me because you're watching this fucking thing. Of course, I'm channeling the energy of Top Gun by having the fucking shades on, God damn it. Listen, Top Gun, I'm going to go and give it a 1 full ear out of 2, of course, because I got the other one dangling here. You know, it needs a little bit of Viagra, a little bit of Blue Chew and shit. 1 full ear out of 2 for Top Gun from 1986. And I'll tell you why. That's not to say it's a bad movie at all. It absolutely is not. I was afraid that it was getting gassed up a lot as far as what I've heard about it, and because I never watched it in full up until in time for this review. I've only seen bits and pieces, clips, highlights, whatever, and I know that fucking Danger Zone was a hit because of it. The soundtrack, like I said, I think sold almost 10 million at this point now too. And you know, it's Tom Cruise. It's a young-ass Tom Cruise. It's a young-ass Val Kilmer. I'm sure enough women, if the boys weren't sweating and getting all hot and bothered in the theater over fucking fighter jet action, at least most of the women were getting hot and bothered with the fucking majority of the time. They're in the fucking sauna or the locker room with no shirts on and just towels on around their fucking tighty whities and shit. I don't know. They might have worked that way as a ploy of some sorts. They were trying to get you either way they could. The men and the women equally. Of all things back in 86, they were being fair to both genders. Surprising and head-scratching too, I know. But one ear because the action and the flying overall, anytime the fucking planes are the main center of focus, it's great. It's sexy, it's appealing, it's lovely. I didn't love Tom Cruise and what's her fucking name? I think Charlie, the lead fucking lady in the film. I don't like their chemistry. It's too awkward. It's too forced. It's too like weird. Like I don't think anybody gets around like that, especially if it's like the student and the teacher, shacking up and doing the thing together. It doesn't work that way. It's a little too awkward. Even in the realm of like Tom Cruise, we all remember him when he was jumping up and down on Oprah's couch, of all things, the white man jumping on the black lady's couch because he was overexcited about, guess what? Another white girl, too. Well, credit due and all respect due to fucking, what was her name? Katie Holmes. I mean, a young Katie Holmes? Ooh, boy. What a piece of ass. What a cute fucking as a button piece of ass girl. So I get it. Because then I remember the whole dilemma with Batman Begins. They got it right with fucking that version of Rachel. But then what the fuck happened with The Dark Knight? I mean, listen, we're all fucking hung up and stuck on the fact that it is legit the best comic book superhero movie of all time, The Dark Knight. But the one major flaw is Maggie Gyllenhaal as the love interest of Bruce Wayne, of all people, of all things. I mean, listen, if we're talking about fucking, I don't know, Batman low-key has a fetish for like women that could be his fucking grandma with that smudged up, wrinkly ass, fucking cheap Canal Street purse face that she has. All respect due to Maggie Gyllenhaal, but let's be honest. Come on, love interest of Batman of all things? No, 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 no. Dikembe Mutombo? No, 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 no. I don't believe it. I don't buy it. But yeah, the chemistry in the whole thing, I don't buy it. It's not convincing. It's kind of awkward, to be honest. And she's also not that leading lady attractive, I'd say. The girl in this film, Top Gun. I would have slapped silly whoever fucking said, let's choose her to be the leading female role instead of Meg Ryan. A young Meg Ryan, by the way. But who knows about that? I still got to find somebody that worked on Top Gun and ask that question. What happened there? Some of the lines, because of the chemistry being awkward and like a little forced, according to me, they come off as cringe. They come off as like kind of too dull. Like he's talking through his teeth to like get through the fucking lines. Like, yeah, okay, something like that. It's not hitting really like that. I don't know. That's the only part I have really to nitpick about that, but it is a big part of the film too, as far as like it's not convincing. So if it would have been maybe a little shorter, it's just about like about an hour and 40 and change and such. If it would have been like an hour 20-ish, whatever, without so much of the weird, awkward interaction between her and him, I would have ranked it a lot better. I would think it'd be a lot more memorable because it has so much action. It has so much of the plane flying and the drama enough between all the fucking pilots and shit too. I think it would have done better going down that route. Captain America's pissed off. He's just fighting back like my best friend. You fuck. God damn it. It's like they queued up that song, Doja Cat and Sweetie or something, or whatever her name is. My best friend, which is a trash fucking song, but it's like they queued it up in his head. He's like, my best friend, my bestie, my buddy from Brooklyn, whatever. And he's going at him. He fucking practically kills him, but he just depowers Iron Man by fucking driving that shield into his energy source, whatever thing on his chest or whatever. Which is stupid enough because, listen, if you're a billionaire, you build all these suits, you're a fucking genius inventing your own elements and all that shit too. Why would you keep your power source fully exposed on the outside of your chest for anybody to just like the Winter Soldier's trying to yank it out of him, but then Iron Man got quick enough to fucking blast his arm off before he could. And then Captain America knew immediately, instead of beheading him with the shield, he said, fuck it, I'll just depower him. This is the end of tonight's episode of Who This Been Watching, celebrating and focusing on Top Gun of all things from 1986, starring Tom Cruise, Val Kilmer, and some motherfucking people, but more importantly, a hot young piece of ass called Meg Ryan from back when 1986, which should have been the lead female role, goddammit. But we're gonna have to fucking track down whoever did the casting for this film and question him, her, it, whatever, and be like, Meg Ryan, young, 1986. You dropped the ball, why and how? But yeah, that's for a whole nother episode aside.